I never thought discovering my wife's affair would happen through a company security camera. But there I was, watching 12 years of marriage crumble in high-definition footage. My name is Marcus, and 3 weeks ago, I learned that my wife, Veronica's recent promotion came with benefits that had nothing to do with her. Job description. What I'm about to share will show you exactly how workplace affairs destroy more than just marriages. They destroy careers, reputations, and futures. It started when I received an anonymous email with a single video attachment. The timestamp showed it was recorded 2 months earlier in the executive conference room at Henderson and Associates, where Veronica worked as a marketing coordinator. The footage showed my wife in what was definitely not a business meeting with Richard Morrison, the VP of Business Development. I sat in my car outside a coffee shop, watching this video on my phone, trying to process what I was seeing. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the device. This wasn't some emotional affair or inappropriate text messages. This was undeniable proof that my wife had been living a double life. The anonymous sender had included a note. Thought you should know what your wife's promotion really cost. There's more evidence if you need it. More evidence. That phrase haunted me for hours. When Veronica came home that evening, glowing about her latest strategic planning session with Richard, I watched her lie to my face with stunning ease. She talked about quarterly projections and client presentations, while I knew she'd spent her afternoon in ways that had nothing to do with business development. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I replied to the anonymous email. What came back changed everything I thought I knew about my marriage. The sender turned out to be Jennifer Morrison, Richard's wife. She'd been investigating her husband's suspicious behavior for months and had discovered not just the affair, but the systematic way it had been covered up as business meetings. She'd accessed Richard's company email and found months of communications between him and Veronica that made their relationship crystal clear. Jennifer had been documenting everything, preparing for her own divorce. When she realized I deserved to know the truth too, she sent me hotel receipts, restaurant charges, text message screenshots, and even more security footage from different dates. The evidence painted a picture of a relationship that had been going on for over 6 months, coinciding perfectly with Veronica's sudden career advancement. My wife hadn't earned her promotion through hard work and talent. She'd earned it by sleeping with her boss. The most devastating piece of evidence was an email where Richard explicitly promised Veronica the senior marketing manager position in exchange for their continued special arrangement. He'd actually written those words in a company email. I spent 3 days absorbing the full scope of their deception before deciding how to respond. Veronica continued her routine of late meetings and weekend work sessions, completely unaware that her secret was already exposed. I realized that Jennifer and I both deserved justice, not just answers. We coordinated our approach carefully. Jennifer would handle Richard's termination through corporate channels, while I focused on the evidence that would matter in divorce proceedings. We weren't seeking revenge. We were seeking accountability for people who had thought they were too smart to get caught. Jennifer scheduled a meeting with Henderson and Associates CEO, presenting evidence of Richard's abuse of power, misuse of company resources, and creation of legal liability through his conduct with a subordinate. She framed it as protecting the company from potential lawsuits and reputation damage. Meanwhile, I consulted with a divorce attorney and began documenting our financial assets. The evidence Jennifer had provided would make the proceedings straightforward. Richard was terminated within 48 hours of Jennifer's meeting with corporate leadership. The CEO thanked her for bringing the matter to their attention and assured her that the situation would be handled with complete discretion to protect the company's reputation. Veronica came home that Thursday evening in tears, claiming there had been budget cuts and restructuring that had affected her department. She said Richard had been let go unexpectedly, and her own position was being reevaluated. She was still lying, even when her world was collapsing. I let her finish her fabricated story before placing printed copies of the evidence on our kitchen table. "Veronica," I said calmly, "we need to talk about your relationship with Richard Morrison and what it's cost both of our marriages." The color drained from her face. She looked at the documents spread across the table: hotel receipts, email printouts, screenshots of text messages, and photos from the security footage. "Where did you get these?" she whispered. "From Jennifer Morrison, Richard's wife. The woman whose marriage you helped destroy while you were destroying ours. What followed was 6 hours of the most painful conversation of my life. Veronica initially tried to minimize the affair, calling it an emotional connection that had gotten out of hand. When confronted with the explicit evidence, she shifted to claiming she'd been manipulated by someone in a position of power. Finally, she broke down and admitted to the calculated nature of their relationship. She'd known that getting close to Richard would benefit her career. What started as strategic networking had evolved into a physical relationship that she'd justified by telling herself she deserved professional advancement. I worked so hard for so many years without recognition, she sobbed. Richard saw my potential when no one else did. He made me feel valued and respected. He made you feel valued, I replied. So you threw away our marriage for a promotion. She begged for forgiveness, promised to fight for our relationship, claimed she would do anything to rebuild trust. But as I listened to her pleas, all I could think about was how easily she'd lied to my face for months, while planning her career advancement through deception. I told her I'd already filed for divorce and that she needed to find somewhere else to stay while we worked out the legal details. The aftermath moved quickly. Richard's termination became office gossip within days, though the company managed to keep the specific details confidential. Veronica was reassigned to a different department with a significant reduction in responsibilities and salary. Her promotion was officially rescinded due to the circumstances surrounding the personnel changes in business development. She lost the corner office, the executive parking space, and the respect she'd thought she'd earned. Worse, she gained a reputation as someone who'd slept her way into advancement. Fairly or not, Richard's career effectively ended. Word spread through their industry about his termination for inappropriate conduct with a subordinate. At his level, that kind of reputation damage is nearly impossible to recover from. Jennifer told me he'd moved back to his hometown and taken a job with his brother's small business at a fraction of his former salary. Jennifer and I became unlikely allies throughout our respective divorce proceedings. We'd both gathered extensive evidence, which made the legal processes relatively straightforward. Her attorney and mine shared information where appropriate, ensuring that neither Richard nor Veronica could manipulate facts or timelines. The most satisfying moment came during mediation when Veronica's attorney tried to argue for spousal support based on her reduced income following the workplace restructuring. My attorney simply presented the evidence of her affair and its role in her career changes. The request was withdrawn immediately. My divorce was finalized 2 months ago. I kept our house and most of our shared assets. Veronica moved to another city, claiming she needed a fresh start where her reputation hadn't been damaged. Jennifer's divorce took longer due to more complicated financial assets, but Richard's terminated. Employment actually simplified some aspects of their settlement. He had less to fight for when he was unemployed and unemployable in his chosen field. Looking back, I realized the signs were there for months. Veronica's behavior had changed gradually, more secretive with her phone, more defensive about her work schedule, more distant from me emotionally. She'd been living 2 separate lives, and I'd been too trusting to see the deception. The anonymous email that started everything was Jennifer's way of giving me the choice to know the truth. She could have simply handled her own situation without involving me, but she recognized that I deserved to make informed decisions about my own life. I'm grateful she made that choice. Today, I'm focused on rebuilding. I'm dating again, slowly and carefully. I've learned to trust my instincts when something feels wrong, and I've developed a much clearer understanding of what I will and won't accept in relationships. Veronica tried to contact me several times in the weeks after our divorce was finalized. She sent letters apologizing for her choices and asking if we could find a way to repair what we'd had. She claimed she'd learned from her mistakes and wanted a chance to prove she could be trustworthy again. I never responded. Trust, once destroyed so completely, can't be rebuilt on a foundation of calculated deception and lies that lasted months. Every late meeting, every lie about working overtime, every casual mention of Richard, while she was actively betraying our marriage. These weren't momentary mistakes. They were deliberate choices to prioritize her ambition over our relationship. The hardest lesson was learning that someone you trust completely can deceive you with stunning ease when they're motivated enough. But I've also learned that self-respect sometimes requires walking away from people who don't value what you bring to their lives. If you're experiencing something similar, document everything, trust your instincts, and remember that you deserve honesty in your relationships. Don't let anyone convince you that you're paranoid for noticing changes in behavior or asking questions about inconsistencies. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is refuse to accept less than you deserve. The workplace affair that destroyed my marriage also ended 2 careers and ruined multiple reputations. Veronica and Richard thought they were smart enough to keep their secret indefinitely. But secrets have a way of surfacing when you least expect them. Thanks for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments. Remember that you're not alone in dealing with betrayal, and there are people who understand what you're going through.